The truth is that black people in America are the descendants of Israel. The truth of the matter is African Americans are the blood descendants of the Israelites spoken of in the Bible. Why in the world do black Christians go to church every Sunday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, and are active in churches every day? And why do preachers who spend their whole life 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's their business, it's their profession, why are preachers who are supposed to be the intellectual religious leaders of our community ashamed of claiming that the black people in America are the descendants of Israel? They seem to be ashamed to make that association. They can't be that damn ignorant. I'm not a preacher. I'm not someone that went to divinity school. And I know, first time I read the Bible, I saw that black people were the descendants of Israel, and saw how God does not respect his blessed seed who disrespect him by not admitting, denying that they are the children of God. Why do these black preachers not teach their congregations that they are the biological descendants of Israel? Like I said before, these damn fools have been taught by white Europeans who have raped, robbed, murdered, deceived for the last 2,000 years, that it doesn't matter. These black preachers are the same ones that when you show them a picture of a black Jesus and a white Jesus, they'll pick out the white Jesus, because they don't believe that their history goes any further than the slave ship, even though the Bible contradicts their historical conclusion. The Bible contradicts these black preachers who say that it doesn't matter and that their history only goes to the slave ship. Nobody knows who they are. However, in all intellectual honesty, these fools know that the white man knows who they are and knows that their history goes beyond, well beyond the slave ship, that these niggas came from West Africa. Well, we don't know what tribes they are from, what languages they spoke. They've been all mixed up. Well, it don't really matter what language you spoke, what tribe you came from in West Africa, fool, because as the white man knows, West Africa was totally populated by West Africans. West Africa was populated by Israelites only. It was totally populated by the people spoken of in the Bible as Israel, because white Europeans know, and Columbus knew too. I got to do some research, that in 70 AD, when Vespasian and Titus, the Romans general, invaded Jerusalem and defeated Jerusalem, they murdered most of the Israelites that were living in Jerusalem, and about 1 million Israelites escaped Jerusalem and went into North Africa, and left North Africa and went into West Africa to reside after being ran out of Jerusalem in 70 AD by the Romans. They went into West Africa and populated the west coast of Africa. Those people that populated the west coast of Africa were not Africans. They were not descendants of Ham. They were not Ethiopians or Egyptians or Libyans in North Africa. Simple history shows you that. Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Ham was the progenitor of the so-called African races. So Ham was the father of all the African races. The Egyptians, Ethiopians, and the Libyans in North Africa. The Cushites, the Canaanites, they all populated North Africa. They did not reside in any other parts of Africa. So when you look at the ancient history, the ancient maps of the continent, you'll see that Ham and all of Ham's grandsons, all of Ham's sons and grandsons populated North Africa only. And in 70 AD, when the Romans ran the Israelites out of Jerusalem, West Africa was totally uninhabited, as was other parts of the so-called continent of Africa. So, in 70 AD, when the Israelites left Jerusalem and went into so-called Africa, they went to the west coast, which was totally uninhabited. And they lived, these Israelites lived in West Africa and totally populated that whole area. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, all the places now we see today in 2014 where Ebola has been released to kill these known Israelites. That's a whole nother story. But that whole west coast of Africa was populated not by Africans who are descendants of Ham, but by Israelites who are descendants of Shem. Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So-called Africans are the descendants of Ham. Israelites, although they are black, like Ham, Shemites that come from Shem are the Israelites that populate the west coast. Israelites are descendants of Shem. Israelites, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Jesus, they all are descendants of Shem. They did not descend from Ham. Ham are Africans. Shemites and Abraham and the seed of Abraham are not Hamites. That lie was told by Edomites. White people told black slaves that they were cursed, that they were Hamites and they were cursed by God, and that was a justification for their slavery, one of the justifications for their slavery, enslavement. But that was another lie just to hide the identity of Israelites, keep them from knowing who they are. Look in Psalms 83, that tells you white people lied and hid the identity of Israel along with Hamites and Ishmael, the Arabs. It's another story too, but read Psalm 83. So, back to the story. Negroes, niggas, that you call niggas in America, are the descendants of Israel. It's easy to show. White people know this. You go out of America and all the African people and all the people in the Middle East know. Black people don't care because they don't know and they don't want to know. All they want to do is make another dollar and see another booty shake. But white people know that the ancestry of black people goes beyond the slave ship. White people know. White people told a lie to black slaves that they were descendants of Ham. And that was the reason for their enslavement and justification for slavery. However, that was a lie that they told black slaves so that they could try and justify slavery. But that causes the confusion black people today have in believing that they are some type of descendant of Haile Selassie in Ethiopia, or they are black African kings and queens. Niggas, you are not a black African king or queen, fool. This is another inherited cultural lie that you have grasped onto because you have no knowledge of your true history. You are not a descendant of some African king or queen because you're not African. You are descendants of Shem, fool. You are a blood descendant of the chosen people of God, spoken of in the Bible as Israelites. You are from the same bloodline of David, King David, Jesus Christ, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You are not from the bloodline of Ham. You're not an African. You are black, just like Africans, but you're not an African. That is confusion. You can see this manifested difference today in looking at Africans and comparing them to black people. Look at the athletic ability of Africans in general, and look at the athletic performance and talent of black Americans. So if black people in America were descendants of Africans, if we were Africans, then the African athletes would totally dominate the Olympics in all areas of sports. But as you can see, you don't see any Africans in the 100-yard dash finals or any other athletic competition. Black Americans totally dominate basically all athletics in the Olympics. If black Americans were the same bloodline of Africans, then every African country in Africa would totally dominate the sport of soccer, because they would have the same superior genetic abilities as black Americans. As you see, black Americans dominate everything they get involved in. They dominate all the other nationalities and all other races around the world, whether it's football, that's American football, basketball, track, baseball, whatever black Americans get involved in, they totally dominate. So if black Americans were from the same bloodline as Africans, Africans would totally dominate all sports they're involved in. There would be no reason for competition, because we all would know that the purebred Negroes, the purebred Africans who have never been mixed with white people, would totally dominate and embarrass everybody else. If black people who have been mixed with inferior white people can dominate every other race and every other nationality in the world, just imagine what a pure-blooded African would do. It would be better than us. But that's not the case, because we are not Africans. We are Israelites. Black Americans are Israelites. So just use your common sense sometime, and you can figure out a whole lot of things. Learn how to think, and you will be able to decipher and discern